might remember the 90s hit Nickelodeon cartoon Hey Arnold from your childhood, with the typical capers you expect from a 90s kids show and some crazy character design choices. It's certainly memorable, but what if we were to tell you that there was a darker side to Hey Arnold that you probably don't remember? I'm Teresa with Wicked Binge, and these are creepy Hey Arnold theories that will freak you out. Let's get started.
Don't give up now. We need you, Monkey Man.
Phil and Gertie are Arnold's parents. For those who know the story, Arnold lives in a boarding house with his paternal grandparents, Phil and Gertrude, a rather eccentric duo. The two are said to have met in early childhood when they had a relationship similar to the one Arnold and Helga have. Gertrude was known for having put tacks on Phil's chair and for having dipped her own pigtail into ink before blaming him for it. However, from all of this blossomed a relationship between the two that is still going strong well into their golden years. However, what if all is not what it seems with these two? There was a popular theory that Phil and Gertie were in fact Arnold's biological parents, and that they claimed to be his grandparents due to the stigma surrounding their ages. This theory is already freaky enough, but it gets worse. It also states that the real reason for Arnold's weirdly shaped head is a birth defect due to the age of his parents.
Well, yes, but that's not important right now.
This defect is actually known as Arnold-Chiari syndrome. We're not making this up, and it actually does cause deformation of the skull and would explain Arnold's name and head shape. This theory has, however, since been disproven, as in the 2017 film Hey Arnold, the Jungle Movie. Arnold is reunited with his actual biological parents. Unless Phil and Gertrude hired some very convincing actors in an even bigger conspiracy. It's safe to say this creepy theory is just. Still, the coincidental name is too much not to mention this theory. Arnold's parents are dead. Keeping with the same theme of Arnold's curious lineage, here's the theory originating from Reddit user Stay Blazed. Soon after the release of the previously mentioned Hey Arnold movie, the appearance of Arnold's parents in the movie clearly didn't sit well with some fans, and neither did the eerie ending of the film. If you remember, spoiler alert, the movie ends with Arnold and his parents walking to school after the summer holidays have finished. He tells them they have to wait outside, and his mother says they'll be waiting right there.
We'll have to stay outside.
When he looks back upon reaching the school doors, he seems to be surprised before smiling. The very final shot of the movie, and possibly of the whole series, is Arnold's parents sitting on the steps as the school doors close. Their clothes are lightly colored, and the light goes bright white behind them as the school doors close. The spooky interpretation of this is that this symbolizes the death of Arnold's parents. The beginning of the movie is the start of summer, and once summer ends and he heads back to school, Arnold finally becomes accepting of his parents' deaths. Closing the doors on them before fading to white is a symbolic visualization of him finding closure in their deaths. Him asking them to wait outside shows that he has to move on with his life and leave them behind. And his mother saying she'll be waiting shows that they'll always be with him regardless.
We'll be waiting right here.
If this theory is to be believed, it's truly poignant end to the series, and shows serious growth in Arnold as a character, even if it is still a little creepy. Pigeon Man committed suicide in front of Arnold. Ah, Pigeon Man. One of the most dark and depressing storylines within a show that's already filled with a surprising amount of mature subject matter. In the Pigeon Man episode of Hey Arnold, Arnold brings his pigeon to the enigmatic Pigeon Man, who miraculously cures it of an injury.
Thanks for curing him.
To show his gratitude, Arnold convinces him to come on a walk of the neighborhood with him. At the end of the episode, Vincent the Pigeon Man decides he'll leave the city and flies off into the sky with his pigeons holding him up. It's a rather comical ending. But what if there's something darker underneath it all? Reddit user, Peppermint Butthole suggested that perhaps Vincent doesn't fly off at all. Instead, he jumps off the roof, committing suicide in front of Arnold and traumatizing him. After all, the Pigeon Man is distraught that his coop has been destroyed by vandals, and he feels that he has no place in society. Perhaps he feels he has nothing to live for?
People, Arnold.
Arnold, however, wouldn't be able to cope with such a traumatic memory as a child, and perhaps represses it and tells himself that he simply flew away in order to process it. It's downright dismal.
Goodbye, Pigeon Man.
This theory, however, was seemingly debunked later, when in the Hey Arnold movie, Arnold gets a video message from everyone he's ever helped before.
Thanks, Arnold. What a pal.
This includes a video from the Pigeon Man himself, who seems to be happily living in Paris. All is saved, right? Maybe not. Reddit user Sheldon W. Cooper still isn't convinced by it and thinks that Arnold imagined that video too. After all, take a listen to what Pigeon Man had to say to him. "Thank you for all you've done to help me, but some people just are not meant to be with other people, and some are."
Some people are meant to be with people.
That sounds fairly ominous, doesn't it? Maybe the theory that he killed himself still holds some weight after all, and the video is just another means for Arnold to cope. Speaking of weight, there's no way that a full-grown man could be lifted up and flown away by pigeons. And given that we never see any sort of physics-defying actions elsewhere within the show, it doesn't really fit. After all, the show is very grounded in reality and never shies away from mature themes. Hey Arnold is actually a show about Helga. This theory is a little more lighthearted to give us a break from the heavily ominous theories that most people seem to have about this show. This theory, originating from Reddit user ISmokeTheXS, says that Hey Arnold may not be a show about Arnold at all. It's actually about Helga. Helga is definitely one of the more memorable characters from the show, playing the role of love interest / bully / friend, depending on the episode. She outwardly pretends to hate Arnold while secretly harboring an intense crush on him. Arnold seems to tolerate her, though he's clearly put off by her bullying him.
Well, it's Arnold.
So what makes Helga the main character? Well, she's the only character in the show ever shown to monologue. She has intense soliloquies when no one else is around, as if she's talking to the audience herself. This is a trait that is typically saved for the protagonist, unless it's a reoccurring theme for all characters.
Oh, Arnold, you poor tortured creature.
Helga is clearly an anomaly here. She's also the character with the most intense personal struggles as she comes into conflict with herself and her own coming-of-age story. Her intense romantic feelings for Arnold, coupled with her pretense at hatred for him, are one aspect of this. It's hard to express how you feel when you're a teenager and only coming into yourself and beginning to understand your feelings. The juxtaposition between her mean, tomboyish antics and her pink, girlish clothing are another complication in her struggle with her identity as she comes into adolescence. This kind of struggle makes her a more three-dimensional character than the majority of the rest of the cast, Arnold included. Her depth makes her more suited to a protagonist's role.
You know it, I know it.
The title of the show and opening sequence lines all come from Helga too, making her importance to the show a concrete fact. The monologues in theory make the show come from her perspective, but that's hard to fully conceive when the entire show seems to be about Arnold. However, as a young girl presumably dealing with her first crush, everything is about Arnold to her, even if this is supposedly the story of her own life. If Helga is truly the main character of Hey Arnold, it makes the show much deeper, almost metatextual rendition of the teen girl experience, which is a little weird, but fascinating all the same.
They never listened to me.
The creator stole the idea for Hey Arnold from a real child. And right on cue, we're back to the dark and creepy for our final theory. This theory was something of an urban legend for years, and tells the story of how Hey Arnold supposedly came about. It says that the creator of the show once got lost in New York City and stumbled into a hotel looking for somewhere to spend the night. There, he met a 9-year-old boy who was the child of two very old parents. A shout out to our first theory of the video. The creator saw that the boy was disfigured, troubled, with a tendency to believe whatever he was told. He had a host of imaginary friends, but nobody real to talk to. He asked the boy if he could tell his story, and promised to make sure the boy got a better life in the future. However, he never kept his promise and instead made a successful television series about this sad, eccentric boy got obscenely rich from it, and never thought about the poor boy that inspired him ever again. Sick, right? Well, this theory may remain just an urban legend. The real story of Hey Arnold's allegedly mysterious creator is that he's simply a guy named Craig Bartlett, an animator who left cartoons and always wanted to make his own. He based the show on what life was like for him as a child. He was always a daydreamer with a vivid imagination. When he got a job working for Nickelodeon on the Rugrats, he saw his opportunity and they let him make a cartoon about a football-headed kid and his wacky adventures. Hey Arnold. So you'll be glad to know that Hey Arnold wasn't created by some horrible man who took advantage of a child, as the legend said. It was just made by a guy who based Arnold on himself. But no, before you ask, he doesn't have a football head.
April Fool's football head.
But what do you think? Do you have any creepy theories about Hey Arnold? Let us know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. But most importantly, stay wicked.